Alright, because this quiz didn't go very well, what I'm going to do is show you how to work the problems on this page so that you can get your corrections done. So, here we are. This would be our corrections. And I'm working these on February 1st for all algebra classes. Alright, so it asks me to decide what each form is and write it down and then change it to the other forms and then answer the questions that it asks for. So this first one is in standard form. Then it asks me to come up with a new equation and tell what form it's in. So the other two that I need to come up with are point slope and slope intercept. Then it also asks me to find my slope, my y-intercept, and my x-intercept. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill these things in, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope. I know I can find my x-intercept using c over a. So for us, that's negative 12 over 2, which reduces to negative 6. If I was writing that as a coordinate pair, I would put negative 6, 0. For my y-intercept, I would use c over b. For us, c is negative 12. And our b is a positive 3, which would give us a y-intercept of negative 4. If I write that as a coordinate pair, it's 0, negative 4. To find the slope, I use negative a over b, since this is in standard form. So for us, negative a, which is 2, over b, which is positive 3. So our slope is negative 2/3. That means we're going to go down 2, and to the right 3, if I was given directions in trying to graph this. Alright, I now have my y-intercept, which is also known as b, and I have my slope, which is m. That should allow me to write my slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form is the one that is in the form y equals mx plus b. So, y equals m, which is negative 2/3, x plus b. Our b is negative 4. So I could put plus negative 4, or I could just write minus 4. Either of those would be okay. Next, I need to write an equation in point-slope form. Notice I have a couple of points down here, and I already know my slope. So I'm just going to pick one of these points. I'm going to just take this top one, labeling it x1, y1. Remember, for point-slope form, we fill in y minus y1 equals m, open parentheses, x minus x1. So I'm filling in the x1, the y1, and the m. So my equation would look like y minus y1, which is negative 4, equals my slope of negative 2/3, open parentheses, x minus x1, which is 0. And if I wanted to, I could make this minus a negative be plus a positive. So this is the same as y plus 4. Next, I want to go ahead and start the second problem. This problem is written in point-slope form, so I can note that. That means I need to find two other forms, so I'm going to have to find slope-intercept form. And I also need to find standard form. Now remember, when we were doing our one-page summaries, we often started with something in point-slope. We rearranged it to give us something in slope-intercept form. And then we rearranged it a little more to give us something in standard form. Some of the information that I can fill in for these others anyway, I can look up here. My slope is 2/3. I know a point, but I don't specifically know the x-intercept or the y-intercept. So I'm going to let those set for a little bit, and I'll come back to those. For slope-intercept form, I need to solve for y. I need to get y on a side by itself where it's positive. So I'm going to rearrange this to solve for y. First, I'm going to distribute the 2/3. So I have y minus 5 equals 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. 2/3 times 6, that would be 6 divided by 3, which would be 2, times 2, which would be 4. So I have a negative 4. Next, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. When I do that, I get y equals 2/3 x plus 1. Y equals mx plus b form. So that is slope-intercept form. Y equals 2/3 x plus 1. Notice now I know what my y-intercept is. My y-intercept is at positive 1. So down here, my y-intercept is 1. Or if I was writing it as an ordered pair, since it's a y-intercept, it has an x of 0 and a y of 1. Next, I can continue rearranging it to solve for standard form. So I'm going to move this x to the other side by subtracting 2/3 x from both sides, which gives me negative 2/3 x plus y equals 1. Now it's almost in standard form, but remember a, b, and c all have to be integers or positive and negative whole numbers. So we need to get rid of this fraction. We also want to make this first one, our a, the negative 2/3, we need to make it positive. So we're going to multiply all of this through by a negative 3, because negative 3 is what our common denominator would be if we were going to give all of our numbers a common denominator. So the negative times a negative gives us a positive, the 3's cancel, and we're left with 2x. Then we have negative 3 times y, which is negative 3y, and then negative 3 times 1, which is equal to negative 3. So our standard form looks like 2x minus 3y equals negative 3. That will allow us to solve for our x-intercept, and if we didn't have our y-intercept or slope, we could solve for those also. For our x-intercept, remember we use c over a. So in our standard form, we have negative 3 over 2. And if we were writing that as an ordered pair, we would write negative 3 over 2, 0. Remember, an x-intercept has a y of 0. If we wanted to check our y-intercept, we would use c over b. So c is negative 3 over b, which is negative 3. Those do cancel to be 1. So that does give us the same thing, so that one should be correct. And if we wanted to check our slope, remember we could use negative a over b, which in our case would be negative 2 over negative 3. Negatives would cancel, giving us the 2/3 that we had from before. So that one should be correct also. Last but not least, we want to work this last problem. It happens to be in slope-intercept form. So we'll jot that down. So that means the other two forms that I need to get are point slope and standard. So let's jot down what information we know already from slope-intercept form. We know that its slope is negative 2/5. A lot of people want to put that x in there, but the slope is what's in front of the x. So it's negative 2/5 without an x. We also know our y-intercept. It was given to us as a positive 10. If we're writing it as an ordered pair, it would be 0, 10, because y-intercepts have an x of 0. Or we could have just put b equals 10. We can't find our x-intercept yet just from this unless we sub in a y of 0 and then solve for x. But generally it's easiest for us to get it from standard form. We can look at that here in a second. Next, I want to create point slope form since I do know a point and I do know a slope. I'm going to treat this as x1, y1, and I will start writing y minus y1, which is 10, equals m, which is negative 2/5, open parentheses, x minus x1, which is 0. So I have an equation in point slope form that is equivalent to this slope-intercept form. I also need to make standard form. Generally, to make standard form, we just rearrange the slope-intercept equation. So what we're going to do is add 2/5 x to both sides. So we have 2/5 x plus y equals 10. And it's almost in standard form except for we have a fraction. Remember, we have to have positive or negative whole numbers. So we have a common denominator of 5, which means I'm going to multiply by 5 so that I can have all integers. 5's are going to cancel, giving me a 2x. 5 times y would give me a positive 5y. And 5 times 10 would give me 50. ax plus by equals c. So I now have standard form. Remember, it's very easy to find the x-intercept from standard form using our shortcut c over a. So our c is 50 and our a is 2. So we have 50 over 2, which reduces to 25 over 1, or just 25. Since it's an x-intercept, that means it has a y of 0. So our point would be 25, 0. We could also check our slope from our standard form using negative a over b. So negative a would be negative 2 over b, which is 5, which does give us the same slope we had before, so that one should be correct. And we could check our y-intercept. Our y-intercept using the shortcut would be c over b. So c is 50 and b is 5. 50 divided by 5 gives us 10, which is what we had before.